5 years ago, I won a big regional Scrabble tournament in Albany, New York, increasing my ranking to second in North America and top 10 in the world. Since that time, well, it's been a different story. I haven't won a single multi day Scrabble tournament in the last 5 years. I have had some very strong finishes in big tournaments over that span, but this is still the longest drought of my career. And more recently, my results have started to slip a bit further and my rankings along with them. So, given that I'm clearly washed, why am I making a video called Can I Win the World Scrabble Championship? Well, over that same span, I've spent a lot of time making Scrabble content, first on Twitch and more recently on YouTube, where I've been so grateful for the positive response you all have given me. But heading into 2025, I've been thinking a lot about two videos in particular. The first is this one about the rise of Nigeria as a global Scrabble superpower. Midway through editing, Scrabble's global governing body, WESPA, selected Ghana's bid to host the 2025 World Championship, which will make it so much easier for nations like Nigeria to send all of their strongest players. When I finally finished this video, I realized that not only do I really want to compete in this tournament myself, I want to be in top form for it, which means I have a lot of work to do. The second video I've been thinking about is the one I did about my experience at the 2023 World Championship, where I was in first place at the end of days 1, 2, and 3, before finally faltering on the final day and finishing 7th. Despite the tough finish, my overall performance suggests that I'm not that far off from competing at the highest level at World Scrabble Championships. So, without further ado, I'd like to announce a new video series I'll be doing throughout 2025 that I'm calling Road to Ghana. After each tournament I play, I'll review my performance with an eye towards being ready for the World Championship in November. My goals here are to hold myself accountable for putting in the necessary work, to share that process with all of you in hopefully an entertaining way, and to build some hype for the championship over the course of the upcoming year. To start things off, I think this live streamed game from earlier in the summer has a really instructive moment to share. Against former world champion Adam Logan, I came back from an early deficit to take a narrow lead, and after Adam's play of Mangler, I drew this rack. The absolutely clear best play by a mile is the only available bingo of footwear for 94 points. This move should have been on the board within 10 or 15 seconds of it being my turn. But as you can see, it took me almost 3 minutes of clock time to finally see it and to play it. Technically, this isn't a mistake, but I could be using that time so much more productively, and wasting time like this typically leads to other mistakes later on in the game. Consistent dictionary review will go a long way to fixing this, but unfortunately, that's far from my only issue right now. Let's look a little closer at a couple positions from my most recent tournament in Gananoque, where I was 2 games up in the standings with 4 games to go, so commanding position. Early on in my round 13 game with a strong expert in Bradley Whitmarsh, I was facing this position. In Collins, the word feek jumps out from this rack. And the hilarious thing here is the sheer number of places that feek, or its plural, play for a pretty good score. This one here is the highest scoring, but it burns my S and opens a triple needlessly. So playing it here instead for 48 points is definitely my best overall option, keeping my S in reserve with multiple good hooks on the board. But somehow I didn't realize that that spot scored so well. So I played it here assuming the double word score would be better, but it's actually 5 fewer points. Bradley played Soilier for 67 in response. I didn't notice this at the time, but this is his only playable bingo. Had I played Feek in the correct spot, not only would I get 5 extra points, but he would have had no playable bingos, and he probably has to play Io for only 13 instead. I did end up drawing and playing the 9-letter bingo of wannabes, which was cool, but I missed a huge opportunity to seize immediate control of this game right here. Let's fast forward to the pre-end game where I'm up by just 2 points with 5 tiles in the bag. Bradley just played getting for 77 and is drawing 7 tiles into a bag containing both blanks, so he's very likely to have at least one of them. If I play wrote, I'll empty the bag and lose to a bingo instantly. So instead I played a wee for 43 points, which at first glance looks pretty strong, scoring well, blocking the top row, and giving me a chance to respond to any bingos Bradley may have with a bingo of my own. However, an even better option here would have been a wee shifted one space over for a 7-point sacrifice. This is because the E hook to N forming een makes it impossible to play a 7-letter word underlapping Tampion. This would likely have forced Bradley to play softies and gettings for 99, and with all else being equal, I would then have bingoed out with tolerant for 64 at a minimum, or the more stylish literato, either of which easily wins me the game. My positioning allowed Bradley to hook when forming went to play the completely board closing toffees, after which I had no playable bingos and wound up losing. I did rebound to win my next game and set up a showdown with fellow North American champion Matthew Tunnicliffe for all the marbles. And because of my better tiebreaker, all I had to do was avoid a blowout loss of 94 points or greater. Of course, I could just win and remove all doubt, but I could even lose narrowly and it would still be fine. All I have to do, avoid a blowout. But to my dismay, a nightmarish early sequence led to me being down by nearly 200 points after just a few turns. I was able to fight back a little bit with big Q and X plays en route to this position. Here, I stared at my tiles for several minutes in disbelief that I don't have a 5-letter word using the W. There isn't any, but instead of trusting my gut and moving on, I double-checked and triple-checked and quadruple-checked my letters until finally I noticed how much time I'd used up, and I quickly played wino for 23, setting up my second N with hewn. This isn't a bad idea, but one instead is significantly better. The pool is extremely consonant heavy, and keeping a more balanced 2-vowel, 2-consonant leave leads to many more bingos for me. Case in point, Matthew played trank, and I drew AELL to my leave of ENT, and I made my best move of lent for 30. However, imagine for a second that I had played 1 instead of wino, keeping the I and only drawing 3 tiles instead of 4. If you replace the E from my draw with an I, that allows me to play allanite for 68, and replacing an L from my draw with an I allows me to play alienate in the same spot. Given Matthew's tiles, I would have been in very good shape to draw the Z or J and trim my deficit by enough to win this tournament. But instead, I wound up forced to fish for a desperation bingo, which Matthew easily blocked to clinch victory. So, what's the takeaway here? How do we fix these mistakes? Well, these plays don't look like big mistakes, but simple adjustments in each case would have led to a world of difference and probably allowed me to win this tournament. So I'm going to start 2025 with 2 main goals. The first is to take word study more seriously again. It's been about 3 years since I systematically studied the dictionary, and I've started that process back up again, and I feel it's already paying dividends, but I need to be faster at finding the words that I have on my rack, as well as have that confidence to move on from situations where I don't have any words on my rack that play in a particular spot on the board. And the second thing I need is more live game action. So I'm going to play as many of these events as I can, as my schedule allows, for much needed practice. And after each one, I will make more episodes of Road to Ghana. As for whether or not I can win the World Championship, it would take a pretty enormous amount of luck right now. Of course, with so many amazing players around the world, my odds will never be more than a long shot, even if I get much better over the course of 2025. But that's okay. My actual goal here is to get back to a level of play that I know I'm capable of. And if I do that, the rest will take care of itself. All right, everybody, I know this was a bit of a different video than usual, so let me know what you liked or didn't like about this format in the comments, ways you think I could improve it going forward. And as always, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more episodes in Road to Ghana, and I'll see you next time.